This here is another video about Irish political prisoner Enoch Burke, who is a Calvinist Christian who is held in Mountjoy prison for about 2 months now. The latest development, I was up there again today, but the latest development is yesterday some judge who spent all his time making money on tribunals and other shady stuff like that had Burke in front of him and gave Burke a lecture on the Bible. Now, a hypocritical lecture on the Bible. Now, no judge in Ireland is competent to give anybody a lecture in the Bible, or I would say anything else. The phrase is the devil quoting scripture for his own reason, but that would be to libel devils, to compare the Irish judiciary to devils in hell. The same families, the O'Malley, the O'Higgins and other families, the Healy family, have been running the judicial system here since 1798, which is a long time ago. The British still ruled it for well over 100 years later, and some of the papers from 1798 are still under lock and key. They haven't been released because a large group of these people were always working for the British, the same way they're working today for the British, for NATO, for the World Economic Forum and so on. If you scratch around, you'll see a judge insisting his skivvy bring him salmon from here and caviar from there and French wine from somewhere else. Very fussy. No ham and onion sandwich for our judiciary. What makes the Irish judiciary different, say, from the American judiciary is they're not selected by any impartial system whereby Republican nominated judges get hammered by the Democrats and Democrat nominated judge get hammered by the Republicans when they're going up to be selected. Here it's all political parties. It's Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, formerly the Workers' Party, that were the official wing of the official IRA. When Sinn Féin get in, God knows what types of hanging judges we will have. These judges, the latest judge, his background is making fortunes by being involved in very shady cases here over the meat trade and over all these tribunals that went on, cost the taxpayer billions. Nobody ever did a day in jail over it. Certainly none of the major parties did. So to expect justice from an Irish court is silly, and the Burkes people are attacking them because they're evangelical Christians. They do have rights. They are supposed to have rights, and if they're into reading the Bible all day long, well, at least they're not going around stabbing people and robbing old ladies in guineas as some of the new Irish do. Never a day in jail for those people. If you stand outside Mountjoy jail like I did, you'll see a train of solicitors going in and coming out in their expensive cars. They're milking the free legal aid system. Who ran the free legal aid system? The same families, the O'Malleys, the O'Higginses. There's been an O'Higgins on the Irish Supreme Court since the British left in 1922. They took over from their uncle Tim Healy, who played for Team Britannia. Now, if you go up to Dublin Castle, there's a statue of Justice there. It has its back to the people of Dublin, and when it rains, the rain goes into one of the scales of justice, so it tilts the scales of justice. The scales of justice are tilted against the people of Dublin, and it has its back to the people of Dublin. The Irish politicians, the cronies in Leinster House, the cronies in the judiciary, they are in no position to adjudicate over anybody, least of all Enoch Burke. The solution to the Enoch Burke problem should be through negotiation. The school with its horrible history of torturing, penalising Irish people for being Catholics should get off its high horse, sit down and work out an arrangement with him. It's not world peace we're looking for. It's a system whereby one school teacher does not have to describe a psychiatrically vulnerable child who they'll probably send over to the Tavistock Institute, the disgraced Tavistock Institute that castrated hundreds of young vulnerable Irish children. Instead of sacrificing more to this god of theirs, just sit down, work the thing out with the Burke family, with Enoch Burke, who seemed to have been a good student. Now, there's one very important aspect that has come out of this. It's the religious aspect, and these Irish people today, with their cafe lattes and their bun hairs and their God knows what beneath contempt, these Irish people, a very large number of them, side with the judge. They side with anything the state broadcaster says. Down in Kerry, a Catholic priest gave a sermon, a fairly innocuous, a boring sermon, as most priests do. It was on hell and who should go to hell and so on and so forth. His theology was fairly primitive. He's not a great orator, Edmund Burke, he is not, but it was a fairly innocuous sermon. However, the ANTIFA group of the Green Party descended on it in droves, picketing it, terrorising the old ladies going into the church. Other ANTIFA have come out of the woodwork. One of them I'd just like to point out is Vincent Doherty. Now, Vincent Doherty was a member of the MI5 aligned People's Democracy group. He ran on a H-Block ticket against H-Block prisoners. He ran against Charlie Haughey to boost his own ego, pouncing off the Irish people. And as I said in previous videos, they went up to all kinds of clergy looking for help. The head of the H-Block committee was a priest, Father Pierce O'Doul. Ray McCreesh from South Armagh, who died on hunger strike, his brother Brian was a priest. We had great cardinals and archbishops like Mannix and Croke and people like that. And this creep, this horrible little snail of a man who gets his rocks off by watching Glasgow Celtic, founded by a priest, play. He wants to shoot these people. He wants to shoot Irish priests. This person whose contribution to society is dubious at best, who likes to play the broth of an Irish boy with Glasgow Celtic supporters who probably don't want them anywhere near the place. So this is the type of Ireland we're talking about. Creeps like Liam Adams, creeps like Vincent Doherty, these Green Party snivellers who've never seen a NATO war that they don't support, terrorising priests down in County Kerry, thinking that makes them liberal. A Calvinist Christian, I don't agree with Calvinism, I've no time for it really at all, but a Calvinist Christian who believes in something, they think it's fair game, and by somehow attacking Enoch Burke and the Burke family and old priests down in County Kerry, it gives them some moral legitimacy. It doesn't. The Green Party Nazis who attacked the church in Listowel, the Vincent Doherty, Sinn Féin and all like them are the scum of the earth, right? They are no contribution whatsoever. So Enoch Burke might well have to be a martyr. That'll be okay with his Calvinist principles. But what's needed in this country is to get all of these parasites, and I would include politicians, all politicians, just about every politician in the Irish Parliament, the President, who's Ponce number one, the entire judiciary that always have been pro-British and anti-Irish, as well as these pseudo-radical creeps like Liam Adams, who thankfully is no longer with us, Vincent Doherty and the rest of them. Just get them the hell out. So what has to be done is a lot of organisation, a lot of work on the ground, and win or lose, we have to say that Enoch Burke has more principle than any 1,000 of those creeps put together. The judge can do what he likes, but because he's protected, but every Enoch Burke who stands up to the plate will be another nail in the coffin and will end this system of these people parasiting on the Irish people that bit quicker. If Ireland is ever to emerge from the plunder these people have done, it needs less of these judiciary, less creeps like Vincent Doherty and Liam Adams, less Green Party, and more honest, decent people who believe in something. Because you either believe in something like Enoch Burke does, or you're like Vincent Doherty and these other creeps and you believe in absolutely nothing except the fake quackery of Glasgow Celtic or Arsenal or Manchester United or whatever empty little vessel you use to hide your empty life. The picket is every day from 11 to 1 o'clock. They're small numbers, but people are coming from Donegal and Kerry and the West and Dublin. It's very little to do to support it any day between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, and it's always good to share opinions, and it's always good, no matter how dark the night is, to see that there are people who will stand up. I'll be back there again and making another video, I'm sure, in between all the other little things I do to make my life meaningful, like Enoch Burke's life is meaningful, and the opposite of the lives horrible little creeps like Vincent Doherty live or pretend to live.
We call it apartheid, internment, conscription, partition and silence. One, it's a law that they make to keep you and me where they think we belong. They hide behind steel, bulletproof glass, machine guns and spies. And they tell us who suffer the tear gas and torture that we're in the wrong. No time for love if they come in the morning. No time to show tears for fears in the morning. No time for goodbye, no time to ask why. And the sound of the sigh